After a strangely long investigation of an incident that was caught very clearly by multiple television cameras, the ATP has decided on a punishment for Alexander Zverev for smashing the umpire's chair with his racket following a call that he did not approve of in a doubles match in Acapulco. I'm going to talk about that punishment and why it wasn't enough after a quick shout out to PlayYourCourt, the place to go if you are looking for a local coach, a practice partner, or someone to play a match with. The number one reason people quit tennis is because they can't find people to play with, and I don't want that to happen to you, so I have arranged a special discount at www.playyourcourt.com/Gill Gross, and if you use that link, which is in the description, you'll get 50% off to join the PlayYourCourt community. Let's read this, and the way it's written is pretty funny. So, the review determined that Zverev committed aggravated behavior under the player major offenses section of the ATP rules. And it reads, as a result, Zverev has been issued an additional fine of $25,000 and a suspension for a period of 8 weeks from any ATP sanctioned event. Whoa, wow. That's actually pretty harsh, right? Okay, now we keep reading. However, the fine and suspension are withheld on the condition that over a probation period ending on the 22nd of February 2023, the player does not incur a further code violation that results in a fine for unsportsmanlike conduct based upon an act such as disrespectful or aggressive behavior directed towards an official, opponent, spectator, or other person during or upon conclusion of a match, or verbal, physical abuse of an official, opponent, spectator, or any other person while on court or on site. Not sure how those two bullet points are even different from each other, but okay. Basically, this is probation. So there's very little here because you would assume that he will not break probation because it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. And just as Nick Kyrgios, when he was put on probation, I believe the incident or the straw that broke the camel's back, although I could be wrong, is when he told Stan Wawrinka that Thanasi Kokkinakis had intercourse with his girlfriend. I believe that was the incident. He did not use those words. He used the F word. Kyrgios did not violate the probation, and, it's the assumption is that Zverev will not either. So we look at what the punishment actually is. $40,000 plus $31,500 of prize money in Acapulco and the rankings points from the event. So it's about $70,000. Not a dent. Not a dent. If you lose in the first round of the U.S. Open, you make $75,000 as of last year. That doesn't even register. I don't know how you can do something like what Zverev did, and there's not going to be any consequences here that are significant enough for Zverev to actually feel it. Unless he is silly enough and has enough issues to do something like this again. Which I really don't think he's going to do. And I hope I'm right. But let's kind of go further here. There is a problem in tennis with fining players. It's complicated. It's not simple at all. Because every player has a different financial means. Some players are very rich, like Zverev. Other players are not. So it makes it pretty difficult to create a system of fining, a maximum fine, a minimum fine, that is fair for all players. And of course, you want to err on the side of caution. You do not want to ruin a player's financial life because they made one mistake. You don't want to ruin a player's career or something like that. That would not be fair. And as a result, fines are difficult. Now, in team sports, it is relative to how much money you make. But in team sports, you have guaranteed contractual money. So you can base fining off of that guaranteed contractual money. In tennis, you don't have that. If you were to make a fining system that might work, you would have to go to the prior year's earnings, and you can try to make a scale that make fines kind of more fair. And, punitive to players who have a lot of money, but not too punitive for players who don't. So you have a proportionally punitive fine system. They could do that. They haven't. Quite frankly, it's a little complicated. It shouldn't be necessary. That is why you suspend. Suspensions, that's a real penalty. That's one that a player feels. That's a consequence. That is a deterrent. That's the solution. You suspend. Let me address the argument. Gill, everyone deserves a warning. They have made the penalties harsh if he does it again. What more can you ask for? Everyone deserves a second chance. Well, there's no probation for taking performance-enhancing drugs. There's no probation for match fixing. The ATP and the governing bodies have created policies on these things. In the case of on-court behavior, abusive officials, they clearly don't care enough to do so. There is no policy on these things because they don't care enough. They take those other things more seriously than they take conduct towards officials and just in general on-court behavior. Well, we have decided as a society that some offenses warrant warnings and others do not. You speak out in class, the teacher tells you to be quiet. You hit a classmate, you go to the principal's office. This is what we have decided. This is how punishments are going to work. If what Alexander Zverev did, if that is not bad enough to warrant a real penalty that he's going to feel, if that is worthy of merely a warning and a second chance, probation, a warning. If that's a warning, the message is this. Players can get away with just about anything short of physically striking an official. And that's messed up. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.